Hey everyone, welcome to this week's update of Premier Properties. And if you want to know my commitment to everyone, I'm literally away on a campsite, as you can see in the background, and I'm still doing Premier Properties. So it's Sunday morning. I mean, I'm not tired, I'm fine, but and I'm still getting this done. But anyway, look, this week's update's going to be pretty simple. I actually, funny enough, have more of a New South Wales update than I do a Victoria update, which is probably the only time I've had that since, should I say, I started doing this. But I'll still, regardless of that, start in Melbourne. I do have, funny enough, an excellent opportunity that has come up in Footscray that I think is purchasable in probably the 800s. When I say 800s, I mean mid 800s, but you'll get somewhere between $750 to $800 a week. It's a 3-bedder. It is a smaller original lot, but for 800,000 in Footscray, that's incredible. Good for a set and forget kind of property. Someone who just wants to sit on it, maintain it, and hold it longer term. It's a good deal for that. It's not one you develop or anything like that, but it's very much so just a hold, set and forget property. 3x1. Reasonably good house on the inside. I don't think you'd have any major defects. It'd be good to rent almost, but not almost. It would be good to rent as is. So that's the first one I've got. The other one I do have as well is I do have another one in Seddon as well. This will be purchased probably in the mid-millions. I'd say rent around probably the early to mid-700s as well. It's very close to Gavin Street and the town centre of Seddon, so that area is very in demand as normal, as a lot of people would know. So that's another one I do have as well. Look, that one will have slightly higher capital growth than the Footscray one, but not exactly. The yield will be lower, so that's probably a trade-off you've got for each of them. So look, that's pretty much my Melbourne update is smaller today. I will go to my Geelong update. I only actually have one that I actually think is still worth buying. It is in a suburb called Newcastle, and it's probably purchasable around the flat 600k or so, maybe slightly more, 600 to 610k mark. Look, this house would be rentable as is, but over the longer term, it will need a little bit of work. But if you did your compliance checks and all that kind of thing, you'd be able to get probably 500, maybe 510 a week rent for it. So it is a good house for something like that as well. I'd assume this house as well, you get at least 10% capital growth in the first year. So I think by, let's call it November to November, because we're in November now, we could say October to October. I'd say it would have gone up at least 10% in that time. So that's another deal. Like, I do actually quite like the house, but it is something you will have to do work to, but it'd be rentable. Like, it's not a bad dwelling or anything like that. So that's the other place I do have. I've actually got now 4 houses, 2 in the Central Coast and 2 in Newcastle. So I'll start with Newcastle. I do have actually a place that's right by the town centre. It's actually in a area called it's a high growth precinct zone of Mayfield. And this is already a dual income property. It's actually a multi-income property, but it rents for around 5% yield, and you'll pick it up for probably mid 1 millions. However, it's on a massive land lot, and you could probably put, a 2 or 3 story apartment complex on it, or probably 8 to 10 townhouses on it. So it's a very rare kind of deal for something like that, because it's something that you genuinely could buy and do very, very well over the long term on them, both in terms of holding for the moment because the yield's good, and also do well, should I say, with the development opportunity in the future, because it's got such a good, should I say, land component, and it's got such a good floor to space ratio. So it's a very, very rare deal in that. That's one I've got in Newcastle at the moment. I do have another also in Mayfield as well that is similar. It's actually a triple income lot on a corner lot, and I think it'll go for something in the low millions. It's running for $770 a week at the moment, but that's under rent. You could probably get, I'd say, in the 900s for that. So that's nearly 5% yield. It's about 4.5 to 5. So that's another one. But this one, I think what you could do is put a detached townhouse on the back of it and sell it off separately, and then have a very low, should I say, cost of, I'd say, holding the other asset with a very low LVR. That's what you could do as well. So that's another thing I do have at the moment in Newcastle. And look, that is pretty much my wrap of Newcastle. Stock is very tight at the moment, especially good stock. Finally, what I do have is I've actually got 2 dwellings in the southern part. It's not the southern, it's the central coast, but it's the southern part of Tuggerah Lake. It's between both, should I say, Tuggerah and Shelley Beach, so Killarney Vale, Berkeley Vale. First one I've got, is a original home with a 3-bedroom granny flat on it. Now this, I think you'll get something like for maybe $1 million to $1.05 million, something like that. However, I should emphasize how rare a 3-bedroom granny flat is, because most granny flats are 1 or 2 bedrooms, so 3 is very rare, and I'd almost consider this like a 3-bedroom battle axe house, because it's probably the size of one. A small battle axe house, it probably is easily the size of one like that. So, that's what I'd consider for this one. That's a very, very rare one. If you were to take that to market, I think at the moment they're saying something along the lines of maybe $1,000 a week. But a 3-bedder in a suburb like that, you get $600 a week easy. So I reckon it's under rented as well. You could probably get, I'd call it easily $1,200 a week if it was rented properly. I wouldn't say there'd be any issues getting that. And then finally, the other one I have is should I say, house and granny as well. This is a 2-bedroom granny though, and this is already rented at the moment for $925 a week. It will be a little bit more expensive just because it is a slightly newer build. It's not slightly new, it's just slightly better renovated, should I say. But this one here itself is already rented, so you wouldn't have to do anything. You just take over the lease. Mid 1 mils to probably 1.1. Market rent for this though, you'd probably get maybe $1,100 a week or something like that if you really took it to market, should I say. You could probably get that. Probably no problems at all with something like that either. I'd say $1,100 a week. Look, if you wanted to keep the same tenants in, you could get $1,000 a week easy and just up the rent. Obviously, there's a difference between taking it to market and keeping the same tenants in, because the same tenants are already taking good care of the property. So look, that's the update I have for the Central Coast, and that's my update of Premier Properties this week. Now, if you're someone who's serious and looking for a buyer's agent to get you in, should I say, one of the best properties you can get in the country for your budget and your strategy, I strongly suggest you reach out via www.compoundinvest.com.au/inquire. Now, look, what happens here is it's very simple. It's a 30-minute phone call, so when you book in, it blocks out half an hour in both of our calendars. I give you a call via generally a mobile phone, and we discuss what you want to do. I'll give you some options, and we formulate a strategy from there. Now, even if you're not serious, and let's say you might be in 3 to 6 months, you're sitting on the fence, or you have your hesitations about buyer's agent, put it this way. This is Sunday morning. I'm out away camping. I'm still doing this episode because I deliver all the time. I don't give a shit. There's no excuses. So no one will take care of you as good as I will. And I think everyone knows that who's dealt with me. So again, anyone serious? Again, the thing is, strategy is so important. If you stuff up the strategy, you won't get the purchase right. Plenty of people will purchase a property, come and ask me, what do you think of this? And have to rip it apart because it's such a bad buy. So anyone serious, looking, have their hesitations, or might be just sitting on the fence, www.compoundinvest.com.au/inquire. Thanks for watching, everyone, and have a great weekend. Cheers. Accessing Premier Properties is simple. First of all, go to the main page at www.compoundinvest.com.au. Once you're on this page, go to the menu item, What We Do, and you'll see a link to Premier Properties. Click the link, and from there it will ask you basically to fill in your details and sign up. So you need to put your name, phone number, and email address. Once you have done that, click Submit. Go back out of the website and then go back into Premier Properties. You will therefore then have access to Premier Properties here, by which you can see what's available, the rough capital growth and the rough rental yield of each property. If you're interested in these properties, therefore click Action where it says View More. Once you then click this, it'll show you basically the metrics. Now, to get full access to this, you will need to reach out via Inquire. From there, you will be sent a agency agreement by which we can get access to the property and ideally close the deal for you. Please reach out if any of these properties are of interest to you, and I look forward to speaking with you soon. Thanks.